The reason why we're stuck in survival mode is because in order for them to get supply, they need to abuse us. They need to manipulate us. They need to control us, lie to us, cheat, steal, all of those things to get their supply. And what gives them happiness? Supply. All of those things that they do to us, that gives them supply. So that's why they're happy. They're happy because they abused us. We're stuck picking up the pieces. We're stuck with a broken heart. We're stuck with, all these empty promises not fulfilled. We're stuck to fix our family life, our situation. We're stuck with all that. And in exchange, they're happy. Why? Because that's their MO. I can never really begin to understand why narcissists do the things they do, but I know for sure through training that they get off on this shit. They get off on hurting us. Is it really truly making them happy though? That I don't know. And why, I have no idea. Can you please speak to what it feels like once you're getting out of survival mode? Yeah, the healing journey out of survival mode is a very exhausting journey. It's very tiresome, and it's going to be like a roller coaster. It's going to be ups and downs. You're going to feel amazing with freedom. You're going to feel elated. You're going to feel high. You're going to feel so independent. Confidence will come back, but you're going to get triggers. We all get triggers. And one day, so grief, we have to remember when we're leaving a narcissist or when we've left and we start healing and leaving survival mode, we have grief. We will experience grief because it is a loss. It's a loss of a relationship you expected to be in. It's a loss of a person that you wanted to be. It's a loss of that person that sort of dies with the relationship. And it's a loss of this like fake fantasy life that you thought you were in. So you have this loss, you have to grieve it. And with any kind of type of grief, we end up, thinking that only time will make it go away. But it doesn't actually go away. Grief never really goes away. Grief kind of lingers and it sticks around, but it gets smaller. So what I mean by that, how does grief get smaller? Think of grief being in a container of a box, okay? And in that box, there's a balloon. Inside the box, this balloon is your grief. And on the top of that box, there's a button. And when that balloon floats around in that box, it hits the button. And it goes bing, and it hits this button up here. And bing, boom, you've got all of this emotion. You're crying, you're upset, you've got regret. You've got all of these things that are going to hurt you and make you feel like this intense sort of, whatever the grief button does for you. Over time, that balloon gets smaller and smaller and smaller in the box. And it still floats around, but maybe in 3 months it hits that button again. Bing! Same thing. It feels the same. You're still feeling emotional. You still want to cry. It's almost like that happened yesterday. Over time, the grief gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it is a tiny little dot in the box. And it's floating around still. And it keeps floating in that box. And you've gone years without hitting that button. You've gone years. And then one day, bing, it hits the button. And it's exactly like when that balloon was giant and big and always hitting that button. It's the exact same grief. The exact same grief. You will feel it. It'll hurt. And you have to be kind to yourself and give yourself grace and understand that grief doesn't go away. It gets smaller and short and like more time in between, but it's still the same. And you still have to give yourself the space to feel it, to lean into it, and understand that that's part of growth and healing. Amazing analogy. You're welcome. What kind of tools can I use to remember that it will never work out and to make sure the cycle the cycle ends? So here's what you do. If you're still in an abusive relationship and you need to learn how to get out, you have to journal. Take a book, get a piece of paper, hide it, make sure this person doesn't see it. Start journaling. Start writing shit down. Even if you can do it on your phone, if you trust that they won't see it. And write everything down that's happening in your life, that's happening with this person, that's happening with your friends. Because even if you don't write about her or him, even if you don't write about your abuser, you can write about your friends and your family. See what's going on in the relationships in your life. Maybe you're not seeing your mom enough. Maybe you got a big fight with your best friend. Maybe things are rocky at work. Start writing this all down. Start journaling. And then on top of that, journal the abuse if you can. Journal, hey, he yelled at me and he screamed at me and hit me today. Or hey, journal about the time that you were crying all night long. Journal about the time that he kept you awake or she kept you awake to fight with you. Journal about the time they accused you of cheating when you know you weren't. Journal all of that, and when you need to, when they are love bombing you and giving you breadcrumbs to stay in their relationship, when they're promising you that they'll change, when they're telling you that you need to stay together for the family, when they're telling you, hey, you're the love of my life. What are you doing? Why are you trying to leave me? Get that journal, open it up, and read some of those pages. That pencil over your brow, it's awesome. Oh yeah, it's just this is called Anastasia, and it's just a powder. And just like that. So start journaling. You're welcome. Hopefully that helps. I mean, journaling for me has helped me, and I started a podcast last night, and I read in my very first episode, I read some of the things that I put in my journal when I was trying to leave him, right? Oh, the one you used to gleam it up. Oh, yeah. This here, it's also Anastasia. It's called Pro Pencil, and it is an eyeshadow primer color corrector, but it is just and then, yeah, just to bring it. Yeah, the journal and documenting about it 8 months on, so hard to look at. It's hard to look at, but like anything that triggers us, we have to look at it, because then the more we look at these things, the less they'll trigger us. Yeah, Anastasia has amazing products for brows. So have you ever gone through your TikToks and saw a video that said trigger warning, right? You saw this video, trigger warning, and you started watching it and immediately you're like, nope, swipe away, because you're not ready to watch it. How often does that happen? And how much are you triggered when you do actually watch it? I want to know. It's also been so helpful to realize that it wasn't me. Yes, totally. Right? All the time. Me too. And I've done that so many times. I've done that in TikTok. I've done that with my friends. I've done that with people that I talk to. And yeah, you always just watch it, right? So Brittany, that is amazing, because when we watch these videos that trigger us, or when we read our journals, or when we watch a show like Made, I don't know if anyone's watched Made on Netflix. When we do that kind of stuff, what we're doing is we're desensitizing our response to triggering information, triggering content, triggering, conversation that's going to hurt us, that our body needs to go to a fight or flight. Like Made is the best, yes, but it was triggering. But the thing is, if we run from our triggers, they will trigger us even more. And we don't have a crystal ball. We have no idea when we're going to get triggered. We have no idea, do we? So here's the thing. The more you watch triggering information, the less you'll be triggered by it. The more you read your journal and go, oh, I can't believe I went through that, then you can read it and make some sense out of it. Am I getting ready for another date? Well, I'm going to, I might go for a coffee with someone. It hasn't been fully confirmed yet, but I mean, yeah, maybe. I might go on a coffee to meet somebody for the first time. My mom needs to hear this. She's not well after 36 years of marriage with my narc dad. So I love that. I love that you care about your mom to think about her in such a thoughtful way, and to also be very aware of how your dad, how his interactions and his actions have hurt her. But we can't show people that they're in abusive relationships. We can't show them. They have to see it themselves. And when we try to show them or try to force them to see information and go, look, watch this, they're going to run from it, you know? Like, so many people had told me in my marriage that I was in a really bad relationship. They told me I was in a cycle of abuse. My best friend, actually, she passed away in June. And I set up this account for her. I set up this account on November 22nd, which is her birthday. So I'll be going on, 6 months? Yeah, May 22nd will be 6 months. So I set this account for her, and she was the one in my relationship. She told me, you're in a bad situation. You need to get out. And I've known her since I'm 5. I didn't believe her. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm married. You don't know what it's like to be married. I shunned her. I was like, nope, this isn't happening. Like, you're not telling me this and that. You're not going to say that I'm in a bad relationship. You don't even know what it's like to be married. Anyways, she was the first person to help me out of that situation. Once I saw it, I had to see it for myself. I had to realize that he was a bad person. I had to realize that he was abusing me. I had to see it and make those connections. Nobody in a person's, your mom will not see it unless she sees it for herself. So the best thing you can do is sit down with her and go, hey, Mom, you want to watch Maid? This is a really good movie or a really good show, and I really think you'll like it. I think that the acting is really great, and see if she makes those connections on her own. You know, if I make a funny video or you see a funny video that you think is funny and it has to do with narcissistic abuse, sure, send it to her. And if she ends up following, maybe she'll see it. But we can't be telling our friends or people that we love that they're in abusive relationships, because honestly, they won't believe you. They won't see it. It's going to be hard for them to even really acknowledge or understand that because of the trauma bond and being stuck. The best thing we can do is just give them love, show them support, and be there when they do come to you and say, hey, I think that there's something wrong here. I think I need to get out. This just happened. This is just what happened to my son. Okay, tell me about that. What happened to your son? Really helped me realize how bad it was. I got into being normal. I got into it being normal, of course. Yeah, you mean the relationship? Because, you know, what happens in these abusive relationships is we turn normal, we turn something really intense and abusive into normal. It becomes our normal. So we, like, okay, first of all, if one time he tells you or she tells you you're ugly, you know, you're worthless, we're gonna be like, holy, that hurt. Don't say that to me. That hurt. Right? And the next time they say it, they're gonna be like, God, you can't do anything right around here. And you're gonna be like, yeah, maybe I can't. Then you start to believe it. Next thing you know, without even noticing, they're going to tell you you're a whore. You're such a whore putting that makeup on. And you're going to be like, that's normal. That's just normal behavior. You're going to live in the, he calls me that. Like if somebody were to be like, oh, my husband just called me a whore. You know, if that was the first time or that's the first time you're hearing it, you're like, what? That's abusive. Why would he call you that name? But to you, that's normal. This is where your normal is. This isn't up here. This isn't so major abusive. This is normal. We live in normal in these abusive relationships. It doesn't feel like it's abusive because we're conditioned. We get used to it. They start slow. They start saying little things, and then one day they'll call you every name in the book, and you'll think that that's just a normal Tuesday. That's just Tuesday. No biggie, right? Like, he calls me that all the time. He's called me worse. And we become so used to that. And the sad thing is, the deeper we get in these relationships, the harder we see it. It's harder to see it.